All right, everybody, welcome to the season finale. Not the series finale, the season finale of Podcast Professors. I, of course, am your head professor, Professor Emeritus of all universities which no longer exist in this land that we once called America, Podfessor Tom. With me here... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, it's fine. I'll take the introduction. But a man of no need for an introduction. I'm the dean of the Podfessor department, Will, Professor Will, here to talk today to sort of fill in the gaps for whatever Professor Tom just sort of leaves behind.
Yes, well, just like in the real world, the construction workers are not they're not the movers and the shakers. Somebody's got to go glue some roofing, do some stapling, but it's not the one you want to hear give a lecture. That's the dynamic.
A plumber is not an electrician. We'll say that.
Yes.
And there are significant gaps that would have been left behind in the curriculum had it just been sort of one of us. And I'm here to sort of give a broader context and just sort of hopefully ensure that you get something out of this.
Will's the tape between the poster that has the cool message and the wall that the poster needs to stick to.
Yeah, Tom is sort of the sprinkles on the sundae, not necessarily needed, but not necessarily the main portion either. But a little,
I'm the exciting part, though. I think we can all agree. Will's the vegetables on the plate. They're good for you, I guess, but they suck.
Yes, well, Tom is here to just put the final nail in the coffin. But as for the carpentry, you're looking at the guy who built the thing. So, having said that, today we'll hopefully illuminate your minds as to how to end things on a high note, how to keep them coming back for more, how to keep your audience thirsty.
Yes. And speaking of thirsty, I don't know about you, Will. I've been pretty thirsty these last couple months between the last show we did and this one. It's been a thirsty time, I'll tell you that much. How about you?
Yeah, well, with all these wildfires, it definitely creates a lot of heat. Your palate's is gonna dry up a lot quicker. So, the global warming has contributed to the thirst.
Do you hear that?
But do
you hear that sound?
Yeah, is that? Do you have a leaky faucet? Maybe you could, turn that off before the show.
Hold on. Let me grab my. Oh, hold on. I need to go. I need to go look for this water. I haven't found a whole lot of water in the last couple months. I don't know.
How do you mean?
Oh, I think
Why do you say that?
I'm getting closer. Well, I think we both got this email, but as after my tenure taking down banditos in Wyoming and Montana, I ran into some trouble with the higher up authorities, the governors and so forth, the people,
sheriff.
The people who hate liberty, and I had to get out of there pretty quickly. So I did what anybody might do, and I called up our large friend Paul, who really is about dictator of the world at this point. I figure, I don't think anybody has the impact on the global economy that Paul does. And so I was humble. I called him and I said, I know we've had some differences in the past. I may have denigrated you many times across my platforms and,
Sure.
in fact, on several sites like Reddit and 4chan.
Many sites, in fact.
Yeah, to like thousands of subscribers. Growing daily. And, I get that. I get that maybe he has a couple of problems with me, but I think at the same time I've demonstrated that I'm an incredibly skilled jack of many trades. Well, in fact, no, I think I'm a master of all trades, jack of none. And I told him this.
Well, you're not let me just, sorry, not to interrupt, but you're sort of jack of none when it comes to the podcasting department, Tom. I don't know if you have a leaky faucet or what's going on.
But, I'm a master, I'm not a jack.
Is your basement flooded? This is basic podcasting.
Well,
I don't know why all this leaky water sound is. I had a fire alarm going off a couple of weeks ago, and it's chaos, and it seems to be your entire housing plumbing is.
Look,
just
I'm getting. Another thing I'm a master of, Will, is pacing. I can pace a story like none other. You think?
Well, I'd love to just get into the show here. But
I'm trying.
Dripping water. It's Chinese water. for our listeners. They can't even cope with this. I can't cope with it.
Look,
Certainly. Where the hell are you?
You think
Tom?
You think when Homer's talking about the lead up to the Trojan War, he needs somebody saying, "Hey, Homer, you're not a jack of pacing. I want to get into the story." No, you got to build it. You got to get to the point for maximum impact. All right, so give me.
Well, let me just say this: you haven't really done jack as far as getting to the point. So maybe if you could just
yeah. Okay, so I call up Paul.
Shut off that leaky faucet and get to the point.
I need water to live, Will. All right, you got to give me some survival credit here. Jeez. But anyway, so I call up Paul. I say, "Hey, you got anything for this master here?" And he said, "I've been waiting for you to call me. I figured you might need a bone in a certain case." And so he had me. He said, I know you're a guy who likes to take time to think, to ponder, to turn the world around him into very, very popular product for the market." And I said, "Yes, that's true." And he said, "I bet you'd love some time just to be, in solitude, and to think, and to collect your thoughts." And I said, that's amazing, yes. And so he sent me to this place. It's actually an island, I think by Greece. I can't actually remember. It was a long time ago. And
Lesbos.
I don't. No. I would have
just a stab in the dark.
I would have been more excited about that. It wasn't that one. It was. I can't remember. But so anyway, he sends me out there. He says, "Just be a groundskeeper." And I got this beautiful plot of land, and nobody's really cleaning it. And so he gets in there and says, "Oh, okay, I'll just wash some things down, spray some things sporadically. It'll be a real Jack Torrance situation minus the murder and insanity. It'll be like if The Shining had a happy ending for Jack." And so I go out there, and it turns out what it is that he sent me to is a very, very large, very elaborate labyrinth. And so it's sort of
like a labyrinth, like the traditional sense, like a Minotaur cave. You're
yes.
Sort of lost in a maze.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm
understanding that.
Well, I'd say I've got it under control. I'd say I may not always, like in life, I don't know exactly what turns I'm going to encounter, but I am confident that I'm moving the right direction. And I've been really lucky in a lot of ways. I've found little puddles of water. I've found some mushrooms sprouting out through the rocks. I've found sustenance. I've found nutrients. But, right now, to find like a stream of moving water would really, really hit the spot. So I apologize for the sound it's making, but really this is an exciting development.
No, it's a no apology needed. From what I understand, you probably have dysentery and you've been in a cave for 3 weeks, would you say? I don't know what timeline we're going on.
Who can tell?
You sound like you've been sort of lost in a little cave world for quite some time now.
Who can tell how long it's been? I don't know. And sometimes
remarkable. Sorry to sort of interject once again, but remarkable. You have such great Wi-Fi from cave abode.
Paul's a man of fine luxury, including there's always Wi-Fi everywhere. Unfortunately, the map app doesn't tell me where the walls are going to be and what's going to be a dead end, and I haven't really had a lot of human contact outside of our Reddit and 4chan. We've been building our resistance against Paul, and that's been about all I have. And other than that, all I hear are these strange noises. Like, do you hear these? Do you hear these sounds that I'm hearing? Is that real? Is that real, Will, or is that just in my head?
I don't really hear much of anything, unless you're sort of making.
You don't hear that?
Gibbon noises.
I'm not making. No, I'm talking to you right now. I'm asking.
Are you alone in that cave, Tom?
Well, this is the question, Will. This is what I'm trying to figure out. And I don't think there's anything particularly humanoid in here, but there seems to be something. And you know what it makes me think is there's food for me. I wonder if Paul has like a little farm of creatures for me, because I know Paul. We've worked with Paul for a while now, and I doubt he's left me here to get eaten by some kind of strange minotaur, right?
There is one thing I do know about Paul, and that is he likes food. So you might find a little herd of Hot Pockets somewhere, a little farm of perhaps delicatessen pastries that have been delicately frozen, some sort of underground technology.
You think that's a human? Is that a human? Hello?
It doesn't sound humanoid.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you know the way out? Do you have any food? I don't know. I don't know what it is, but you know.
I think it's useless to communicate with that thing any further. I would just say, good luck to you. I hope you get out of the cave. The cave does seem to be some sort of punishment for sort of the online backlash we've been giving Paul for the past few weeks. If he's trapped you in this cave, Tom, it sounds like, perhaps the 8chan thread that I started might have gotten out of control, and maybe he even got a look at it. So if this is in any way connected to me, I do apologize. But
well,
we're,
I'll say
we're
this
sort
much,
of in
though,
this
Will.
in the same boat here. We're both anti-Paul. We're in the anti-Paul canoe.
Well, and who would have guessed that so many people are anti-Paul as well? It's really not limited to us. I mean, when you think about the amount of ventures we've done like these podcasts and the sometimes many years it takes to even kind of find an audience. But I mean, just the second we started posting Paul hate online, I mean, we were getting thousands and thousands of upvotes.
That was surprising in my opinion. Paul has sort of cast himself as this Joe Rogan of podcast, empire, expansionism. He's sort of a giant in his industry there. I thought that people loved Paul, but incidentally, you post a few revealing details online. I was fortunate enough to get a good picture of Paul back before he lost a lot of the weight, when he was eating Hot Pockets in my kitchen a mere, 9-10 months ago. And this picture just enraged Paul, from what I understand. Paul got a good look at this. And he said, "We're done with these guys. We're dropping them from the network. That's why we've had to just sort of scavenge for any sort of sponsors." He says, "We dropped them from the network. We're done with these guys." And then now you're telling me you're sort of trapped in a cave. You got lured into a cave because of your previous bandito activities. That doesn't really bode well, Tom. I would say that. Either you find a way out of the cave, or maybe, the darkness consumes you. And either way, it's not looking good.
Well, I'll say this: my hardships are not so bad. They're assuaged when I look online and I see about 100,000 notifications in my email every day from people really, really reveling in the hateful community against Paul that we've created online. It really gives you faith in humanity when we can all find something to come together, about, because we're all from different cultures, we're all from different backgrounds, but we can all agree Paul is terrible. And that really makes me feel good, Will.
Paul does sort of represent a common enemy that we all have, sort of the overconfident bastardization, if you will, of podcasting.
There's nothing I hate more than an overconfident podcaster. I'll tell you that much. And I think a lot of people feel that way based on our comments.
And not only the podcast, it's his sort of media empire. He's branched out into making those YouTube videos that are supposedly educational. I don't buy it. I watched a couple of his sort of philosophical videos. Akin to the School of Life, maybe, or something. Something similar.
Real Prager University approach.
Yes. Sort of the autodidactical, self-taught. I'm a philosopher king in my own right, sort of attitude. But yeah, I did watch a few of his videos, and I have to say, there's not really a lot of good content. Paul has the charisma, but he doesn't have any of the academia or the educational background that an NYU alum such as myself, or wherever you went to school. I know that you're top of your class in some regards.
Yes.
You're published,
That's true.
self-published, even maybe, but you're published. So this is a good thing. We're men of the book. We're men of reading. We're men of learning.
And now men of the pod.
Men of the pod. Paul is none of those things except a man of the pod. And
he's a man of the pock, as in the hot pocket.
Yes, a man of the pocket, a hot man of the pocket. No,
I wouldn't call him hot personally.
No,
to each his own. To each his own.
It's funny that you mentioned that, though. Almost that Paul has become Bezos. He was going bald before.
Yes.
But now he's just sort of a bald man Tom, sort of an aside question here. Do you think all evil, capitalist people in the 21st century will be these bald villain men? You think they'll all look like Lex Luthor? Do you think that was a prediction, maybe?
I wonder if well, first of all, let me ask you a science question. How many what's the average number of men who go bald? Like 20, 30, 40%?
38.5%, Tom.
Okay, so our odds are basically of anybody who's going to become an evil genius, there's about a 40% chance that person will be balding, right? So
yes, but the point of intrigue, Tom, is that there's no facial hair involved either. There's sort of no compensation. You're just sort of a bald nugget. Paul is just
a bald
a beardless, nugget, hairless, sort of naked mole rat of a man, just running his little underground empire. Given that you're stuck in a cave, this might be maybe a new branch of his empire. Sort of cave real estate. As a bald, sort of naked mole rat of a human, maybe Paul is looking for a more habitatable climate.
I think you might be onto something. And another thing that makes me think about anybody who has good hair, be it a good beard, be it a good mane on top of his head. He has social motivation to do more than sit at his desk and write code. He can maybe he has a wider range of options socially. So I wonder if it's as simple as the worse your hair is, the more likely it is that you're going to sort of hate the outside world, really embrace your introvert tendencies, and then actually stumble into extremely lucrative, powerful positions.
Well, not only that, I would say you probably have something there, but it does beg the question, are people with more hair ethical, more ethical? We both have excellent heads of hair.
Yes.
So we're
How are your plugs these days?
I'm not necessarily delighted that you brought that up, but the plugs are good. They're working okay. We haven't had our podcast sponsorship, so I did have to sort of do a little bit of medical tourism for these hair plugs. They weren't locally done, but they're doing
Dubai.
well. They're coming in finally. It's the perfect time to get a hair plug.
I hear the Dubai plugs are just outstanding.
Yeah, well, the Dubai plugs are more expensive than the Orlando plugs.
Well, that's
there's
the idea.
No way in hell I can afford the Orlando plugs. So there's something to be said.
Where did you get your plugs from?
I got my plugs done in a little town outside of Kutaisi. It's a very small area of the Caucasus, sort of even beyond Europe.
Does that mean
Eurasia?
I have wondered why your hair seems to have gotten significantly darker and curlier. Is this part of the region? Part of the reason?
I found it funny, Tom. When I went to the country, I had my medical appointment scheduled. I fly into the country. I noticed every man has the haircut of Vladimir Putin. And I'm saying to myself, why is every man sort of balding with a little comb over? And then I learn, that's just sort of the style. Everyone is bald there. They just sort of give themselves enough plug to sort of comb it over and sort of look like Vladimir Putin. So I'm really hoping that I didn't somehow get Putin plugs, and then now I'm just going to sort of look like an egomaniacal dictator, because that would not be good for my brand. And that's not a good way to look ethical. Yes. Bezos having no hair automatically sort of makes him look like a villain, but Putin having a little bit of hair almost humanizes him to the point where it's dangerous.
So if you had to tell Putin, or not Putin, excuse me, if you had to tell Bezos or tell Paul, look, to look like an ethical human who has a sense of morality, a real human, if you will, not a strange sort of pseudo-robotic naked mole rat of a human, what haircut, what hairstyle would you advise? If he could do anything. Because they're rich enough, they can get any kind of hair they want. So what's the most human-looking haircut Bezos or Paul could have?
That is a fine question. I don't know if I can answer that in a one-off or just sort of a one-shot. So it might be a complicated many-part answer. But I will say that, just off the top of my head, Tom.
Yes.
People who have the man bun, there's a high percentage that
yes.
they will be douche, but there's also a high percentage that they might also be very honest with you. I trust the man bun. Sort of a barista with a man bun recommending a type of coffee over somebody who's bald, let's say. I trust them more. I don't know why. It's perhaps perception bias on my part, but I do think that there's something to that. So I'd like to see Bezos with a man bun, and Lord knows he can afford it.
Bezos with a man bun, and I mean, we got to do something about his outfits, right? He looks a little bit formal. I do notice he doesn't seem particularly muscular except for his forearms, which are massive. And I wonder if he wears shirts differently because he just can't quite get the sleeves to go over those forearms.
The bald head with the bulging forearms is a familiar look. I don't know if he's going for, either Lex Luthor with Popeye forearms or vice versa.
It is certainly a Popeye look. I will admit, yes.
It's a very odd, I almost expect him with a little sailor hat to sort of have one of those, like his mother dressed him for, for an outing with friends.
I hear he's considering chin implants. I think he wants a bigger chin, and I hope somebody's telling him, look, you already have got a Popeye thing going on here. I don't know if you want the massive chin to go along with it.
Tom, I disagree. I think that the chin would be an improvement. I think they should donate when Jay Leno dies, probably soon. They'll just go ahead and transplant his chin.
That's the story. He asked Leno, will he personally donate his large chin to Bezos for, I assume, some kind of obscene sum of money, and
probably an exorbitant amount of money. I think that Leno's chin is something that doesn't come cheap.
I mean, I think we all expected Leno's chin to go into a museum where it belongs.
I did expect to see it in sort of a formaldehyde-filled jar, sort of on the shelf, maybe at some sort of museum of natural history, just to see how we evolved from Neanderthal to sort of, maybe not our forehead is as big, but the chin has become larger than the actual head itself. A fascinating specimen, to be sure. But
I was hoping children for generations would have nightmares about that chin after that trip to the museum where they saw it, and the idea that it could just end up on Bezos's mug, it kind of makes me sad for the future of the world.
I disagree, Tom. I think this is the right move. I think Bezos needs some sort of trustworthy attribute on his face, something memorable, not a blank canvas. And Paul would do well to do the same.
Paul's problem is Paul could
follow the path of many a powerful mogul and just sort of get a chin implant. He's already lost all the weight.
Paul's
already has all this hatred towards him.
He's lost several chins already. I mean, maybe he should add a couple back.
Yeah, the math doesn't add up anymore. He needs to sort of, add rather than subtract. His chin is decreasing rapidly. And I don't know what to say about your situation. I do feel bad that Paul trapped you in a cave somewhere, but we have been giving him a heck of a lot of hate online, and I don't think anyone takes that too well, particularly.
Well, he's got power, right? He's not really in
very,
any danger
very powerful
of anything
man
happening to him. It's just vitriol. And what's that saying? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. These are just words, and I don't think he has anything to really be mad about because, look, I mean, he's a guy who he owns more businesses than I think anybody right now. He can personally buy every senator. He can change the laws whenever he wants to. What? I'm supposed to cry about this emperor who I don't know, probably has people dropping grapes into his mouth when he reclines on a chair.
He's more like an emperor with no clothes at this point, and unfortunately for us, we're trying to clothe him in reality.
Yes, that's all it is. It's a wake-up call.
It is. It's a splash of cold water on the face, and I hate to almost pay him a compliment, but Paul has become sort of the Rupert Murdoch of the podcasting world.
It's true.
And I think his tentacles have just, reached too far into every aspect of American life. And
I've been saying he's got real tentacles on 4chan, and I think people are starting to believe me.
I do think he's like a hydra almost, sort of growing more and more arms each time you see him. Just metaphorical and sort of power related arms. But
Yes.
nonetheless, Tom, this is bad for democracy. I've been urging my online supporters, to sort of take matters into their own hands. Of course, legally. I'm not advocating for anything
Yeah, no, I mean we're
against the law.
We're advocating for like a boycott or unsubscribe to a podcast. These are small
Exactly.
steps you could take.
Exactly. Weaken him to the point of, no power.
Yes.
And then he can live out his days, as a bald, naked mole rat of a man, maybe even
In this
the cave
labyrinth,
that you're
probably.
living.
Yeah, no, I wonder if I'm just keeping it warm for him.
You might just be sort of mapping out the layout of the cave. He probably just has some sort of GPS strapped to you, and he's sort of, humanoiding, just humanizing no, stop it. I'm sorry. I have a couple of kids who have, yes, as you
How
can
many
hear.
how many kids is that? That sounds like 45 kids to me.
I did throw a little birthday party for my son Egbert. He's not, he's 3, so he has a lot of friends.
Oh.
But I told them keep it under 20 kids. There's about 45 kids in my backyard right now. I was hoping to avoid
What are they
this.
doing?
They seem to be beating Pinata senseless right now. And sort
Oh
of
my
screaming.
God! Oh, they quieted down. Oh, thank
If
you.
you'll allow me a moment, I need to get my Bulgarian nanny to sort of handle the situation here.
Okay, well, I'll handle things.
If you
I'll
can
keep
just
the-
close the door, please.
I'll
I mean,
keep
it's
things
just-
under. I can talk over the
Just go
kids.
ahead and mute me for a moment. I'm gonna be out of.
Okay, hold on.
Shut the hell up! Get over here!
Somehow the kids have gotten quieter. Okay, this will be good. So okay, I'll make sure things are nice and quiet here while I take over. Just the nice soothing sounds of the labyrinth cave that I'm stuck in, which you trade one noise for another. It's just something that happens when you're doing podcasts. 2020's been a crazy year, of course, everybody. And I just got a couple news reports.
It sounds like sorry, I finally found a quiet room. It sounds like maybe the darkness is staring back at you.
That's what Nietzsche said, isn't it? You stare into it, it stares right back. And,
I think it's enveloping you. I don't think it's just staring anymore.
Oh, could be.
I think it's encompassing your mind and your mental wherewithal as well.
I'm feeling
How
great,
good it
Will.
is to-
I'll tell you that much.
Tom, I can't say that I would agree. You're lacking sunlight, which is not good for vitamin D production. So that alone, you're probably malnourished.
Let's switch gears a little bit here. How's your messy divorce going?
Well, Tom, I hate to get personal on the show, and I really don't like talking about my own life, but I'm glad you brought it up. It's not going great, but she did take. She took the guest house instead of the regular house, so it's going to be an awkward living arrangement. But I have a place to stay.
You ended up with custody of all 8 of your children, right?
She didn't want any custody. I don't understand why, but there's no she basically I'm paying child support, but I'm keeping all the kids.
Well, and the woman always gets to dictate, how much custody she gets, right? So usually it's the case that the mother gets custody. In this case, she told the judge, "Look, I know I'm the mom here, so I get final say. I don't want any of them." And the judge said, "All right."
Tom, it wouldn't have been as bad if I was able to keep the au pair, but the au pair quit.
Oh, why'd the au pair quit? You were having a good time with the au pair last time we talked, I believe. You guys had really cozied up together in many ways.
Well, Tom, every rose has its thorn. Every acre of soil has its rocky portion. So I do think that maybe the time had ended for that honeymoon.
What?
So there was nothing else to do. She went back to France. May or may not have been directly related to the Bulgarian.
You have a lot of
housemaid,
European people working in your house. You don't hire local?
It's surprisingly cheap to hire European.
Yeah,
nobody knows this.
You have to fly
But
them
it
in,
depends
though, right?
on where you go in Europe. You want a Norwegian nanny, you're paying for 4 to 8 weeks of paid vacation every year.
Yeah.
You want a Moldovan nanny, you're paying for none of that.
So you went over, you got some hair plugs, found some house workers, flew them back with you.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to talk about my personal life, Tom. The thing is, we're trying to focus
I think
on.
the darkness is encompassing you as much as it is me, if not more so. I'm just having a nice, peaceful trek in the cave.
You're just sort of,
Little
running
hike.
through a field of flowers there,
Well, they're rocks,
metaphorically
and
speaking. I
uh,
mean, stalactites. You're sort of just strolling
yes,
through a field of stalagmites, and
it's
that sounds like a heck of a lot of fun. I wouldn't give to trade places with you. The cave doesn't sound all that quiet, but it certainly sounds a lot quieter than this children's birthday party.
so your nanny found something with your au pair. Found were you replacing the au pair? What was happening? Come on, give me a little bit more here. We got the theme today is leave them wanting more, and you've left me wanting more. But I just want the answer now. So screw it. Screw our theme. I don't care.
Well, and herein lies the lesson, Tom. That's why I'm just going to cut it off, because I do want the viewers to at some point know more about my life. I don't like divulging my personal life.
Neither do
it
I.
Seems to be fascinating for other people, particularly our viewers on 4chan
Yes.
and 8chan.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I don't know if you've been monitoring the threads, but they are getting increasingly hostile. I don't know if it's perhaps.
It's funny that I love to see a good Paul hater. I don't know about you.
I do too, Tom. I do too. But the thing is, I've noticed a lot more and more guillotine emojis in the chat, and it's sort of not a good theme.
French Revolution.
Particularly when you talk about Paul and Bezos. And
What a great pinnacle of Enlightenment thought that we can talk about when we bring up the French Revolution. We don't need to get into the terror when we can talk about Burke and Tocqueville.
Not only Tocqueville, just sort of the equality and the egalitarian of a society, of a secular society. It's
Of which Paul has no respect and must be punished.
Well, you said it first.
In the marketplace of ideas, of course, like any good philosopher in the 1700s would have concluded.
Yes, and then they would have finished with a duel, shooting each other in the back of the head.
Well, that's out of our hands, because I certainly can't even find my way out of this labyrinth to do a duel, so I'm not too concerned about it. These are people on the internet. They get mad about cats playing pianos.
It's true, yes. And Tom, I would say, when the door closes, a window opens, but in a cave, I don't know how applicable that would be necessarily. So I do wish you all the best to find the opening at some point.
Thank you.
But
I
do
appreciate
think
it.
that, by the time you do, we might have a completely different world order on our hands. If Paul does end up being toppled, I mean, this could be huge.
Look, let me assuage your concerns now. Just turn on the news for a little bit here, all right? Paul's always on the news. He bought all the news channels, right? So just turn it on for 20 seconds. You'll see Paul's doing just fine. He's probably he's probably arranging a gladiatorial horrific kind of entertainment where everybody gets hurt except him. Just see what he's up to. Turn it on. Tell me what you're seeing.
Yeah, of course. I forgot that you probably haven't watched the news in 3 weeks.
No, I have no idea what's happening.
There was a fly that landed on somebody's head. It was hilarious. A bunch of people thought it was funny.
What I wouldn't give for a fly right now, Will.
Yeah, that's true. Your protein consumption is probably dangerously low.
Or an orange. I'm pretty sure I have scurvy.
Oh, yes. If you don't have that already, you might have a coronavirus from sort of bat meat you might have eaten in the cave.
Look, any meat is needed at this point, coronavirus or not.
Coronavirus be damned. Well, it does. Oh, okay.
Yeah, what's Paul?
Well, Tom, I don't exactly know how to say this. I turned on CNA.
Yeah.
Which is,
and Paul is playing around with a bunch of young models, I'm sure, on a yacht somewhere.
No, I don't know how to say this. Paul, well, I guess a question, Tom. Have you ever seen the footage of, sort of how Mussolini ended up?
I haven't seen footage.
It's not a pretty thing to watch. I don't blame you.
Why do you ask that?
Not for no reason. I mean, the TV seems to be showing me sort of live footage of a riot outside of Paul's house.
That sounds like a great democratic demonstration.
No,
Certainly, civil
not as much.
disobedience in the mindset of Thoreau and Emerson is a great way that we can yield our power politically without having to get violent. And I applaud everybody who's been following us for following that model.
Well, it's less Walden's Pond and more sort of, you know, burning Paul in effigy outside his house. There's a few guillotines that have been erected. This does not look...
Well, it's symbolic. It's a metaphor, Will.
Oh my God. Well, they've now jumped the security perimeter fence and they're smashing the windows of the house. This,
Well, that is a little far, but you know.
You know, Tom, maybe we shouldn't
boys
talk
will be
about
boys,
this.
Will. Boys will be boys.
It is true. You know, there's nothing you can do. Okay. Well, there is something they could have done about that. It appears they've just seized Paul and they're sort of dragging him out the front door of his house.
Well, Will, I don't know if you've heard of the Boston Tea Party, but they dragged some people around. They tarred and feathered them, and then the British learned a good lesson from it. You know, sometimes you just need some tough love, as it were.
Well, the love seems to be so tough at the moment that they've currently cut the live feed of what's happening at the house.
Well, what are the newscasters saying is happening? Probably some nice calming words.
Oh boy.
How's Paul doing? Old Paul, who loved to eat hot buckets and annoy us. You know, sometimes you just, you annoy enough people, you get pretty far, but you got to stand up to the people who are annoyed at a certain point. And I really hope Paul can take this as a learning opportunity and that tomorrow when he wakes up, he's a changed man and we have a better world because of it. A world shaped in the image of a better Paul.
Well, how do I put this? Paul's empire is no more, Tom. Apparently the rioters sort of got out of hand. They're saying there's been many casualties.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Okay. The leader of the demonstration just singled you out personally by name.
Because he likes my work.
No, he said that you incited this.
What?
And that the people have spoken. He's saying the people have reacted to the fuel in the fire, and they are stamping out the fire. Today begins the new day, the new dawn, the new order. Wow, this is some... Tom, we're watching history on... Well, we're not
part of it.
No, I'm watching it, and I'm relaying it to you in a cave, so this will be...
Yeah,
fun. This will be like, you know, where were you when the Berlin Wall fell? And you'll just say, I was
in the labyrinth
in
Greece.
Yes, that's an excellent.
Wait, hold on a second though. So what's Paul doing? He's yielded power to the next generation.
Well, not so much yielded peacefully as sort of forced to abdicate.
So
put
he's
it very delicately.
An early retirement.
Yeah, and an early retirement into an early grave, apparently.
An early grave, because he probably has heart problems, right? I mean, he was unhealthy for many years, and I doubt he did a lot of exercise until he got filthy rich in the last couple of months. But we don't know how long he'll live. We can't say that for sure. We're not medical doctors.
Well, I can say for sure. AP News just posted a photo of Paul's body, and Paul is no longer alive. So,
did he trip? Did he fall?
Wow, this is
what happened.
No, Tom. He's not. He was not beaten to death with the ideas of a democratic society. He was murdered by an angry mob. I don't know how to put this. Maybe you've just been trapped in your own mind for too long here in the cave. It's not de Tocqueville that did him in, Tom. It's the fucking people. How could they do this? I never liked Paul, but Jesus, he didn't deserve this. Oh.
Wait a second. I got singled out as I'm not even in that continent. I didn't even know anything about. We just posted some memes and things.
You know, Tom, it should have stopped with the guillotine emojis, and I said that 2 weeks ago.
I thought we were being metaphorical about the transfer of power, and we were doing some beautiful allusions to Enlightenment thought.
It's not a convoluted message. It went straight to the people who didn't need to hear it. They organized rather effectively. Facebook did nothing to take down the groups that were literally called Murder Paul, Kill Bezos. It's a horrifying development. I know you're trapped in the cave, but this is you're going to be
what about you?
Manslaughter at some point.
You posted as many things as I did here. You upvoted.
I posted a few harmless little things about how, he should pay more in taxes. He should treat his workers, but
that's all I meant.
Stuff.
That's
my
all
stuff
I meant.
was published in ProPublica.
Well, hold on a second. I think
published.
you maybe buried the lead here a little bit. Certainly, I had no ill intentions for Paul, other than maybe that he'd, not get a raise this year, not get a bonus. But I've been singled out by the leaders of the New World Order, right? They've just toppled everything, and I'm their inspiration. I am Che of the New World. Am I not? What is the news saying now?
Yes. Well, so the news is holding you personally responsible for most of this because of your posts. They're saying it was hate directed towards the 1%. Although you do have the endorsement of several politicians from Vermont. So good for you.
Well, that's some silver lining.
It is, yes. Actually, a surprising development. They've called for you sort of become the king figure here. Which is surprising, given that I'm the more eloquent of us both online.
Well, who's the most effective, though, Will? Who gets things done?
I do. You're the one trapped in a cave, Tom.
Well, other than the getting lost in a labyrinth thing, I think one of us has toppled the world order, and one of us has published some biting satire on the internet.
I don't think. I mean, you seem to be thinking that whatever you did was sort of like The Onion. It's not, you incited a riot, more or less. But I guess it worked out for you. They want you as their dear leader.
Well, I accept. Let them know. I accept.
They're writing a constitution in Paul's blood with you becoming their sort of, benevolent dictator. So if you do get out of the cave, Tom, there's opportunity.
I wonder if I can find my way out quickly here, because if
you probably should,
if it does take me another couple of months, I might miss my 15 minutes of fame. That seems to be quickly manifesting.
It seems to be manifesting very rapidly, and unfortunately, you're not even in the country. You're in Crete, so hopefully you can find a flight. And
what about where do you go now? Could you maybe go be a placeholder dictator while I find my way out of this cave?
You know what? I'll do you one better. Okay. How about we send that cave rescue team from the Thailand situation?
Elon Musk can come.
Yes.
Elon
Musk has actually already volunteered to help save you.
He made a lot of friends. I think he can call them up again, and all those locals, they can just come help me.
Actually, funny enough, you mentioned Elon. He was sort of next on the hit list. He's calling for you to become to be rescued immediately, and for you to sort of become the. Wow, he's even advocating for you to become the benevolent dictator. I guess.
Well,
I guess you're sort of like the king of Thailand now. Congratulations.
Oh, this really turned around. I felt bad for a minute there. I sort of felt like the walls of this labyrinth were sinking in on me, but. No, it's great to have power and recognition after all my years of hard work. And I tell them I do accept, but I do need somebody in there who I can trust, which I don't know that I would entirely say you fit the bill for, but I don't have a lot of options because I am stuck in a labyrinth, potentially with a minotaur or other creatures. So why don't you go ahead and you can go take a seat at whatever the throne is that they're erecting for me. And, when I get out, when Elon finds me, I'll come over and I'll come take my rightful place as ruler of the New World.
Yeah, I don't know if I would be willing to give up the power once I get a taste for it, but
Well, we'll do it
hopefully
later. We'll
have a
figure it out.
peaceful transition. You know,
Yeah.
we'll try to do the best we can.
It sounds great to me, Will.
Within reason.
I think we have a beautiful future coming up here, and I'm really glad we had a rough couple of months since we started this show, and as we get to our finale here, I think it's a rightful place for us to end, and a rightful place for us to take power, and to really enact some justice over all the people who were not listening to our podcast over the last 6 or 7 months.
I would say, a fitting ending. We started the season with, Paul as an intern. Paul rose to fame, rose to power. He got a taste of the limelight. He was a rising star. He was Icarus. He flew too close to success, and well, now he's sort of at the bottom of the ocean.
And now it's our turn to fly too close to the sun, and I can't wait for it.
I can't either, Tom, and hopefully, like I said, we'll try and smooth that over with a peaceful transition of power, but no promises there.
What's our title? What are we? What? I mean, you don't call somebody like I'm Dictator Smith. You know, they got something a little better than that, right? King, Emperor. What are we?
Esteemed leader, I guess they want. Esteemed though sounds like you're sort of like a vegetable being prepared.
Esteemed,
I don't know. We'll work on that title.
I think we should go with Emperor because I think that gets you a lot of latitude, right, around the world. People really respect it when they don't know the reach of your power, and you say, well, we're an empire, so stand in line.
I think that's a good start. I'm gonna go for something a little bit more, even lofty. Let's say God King, maybe.
King.
We'll say God King,
okay.
Will, and then when Tom comes to town, we'll say, His Royal Emperorness or
yes.
whatever. We'll figure it out. There's a lot of titles. There's plenty of time to make up a new title.
And since this is our...
We basically are filling Paul's shoes, which is not hard because we were the ones who taught him to tie his shoes.
Yes,
so,
yes.
So it looks like things have finally come full circle.
And, I think what I can promise you is next season of this show will no longer be about making a podcast, but instead it will be about making a world, making a new world in our image. So we will be back after I get out of this labyrinth and after Will has established some basic procedures for a new season of podcast Emperors, I guess. Stay subscribed.
You're cutting out, Tom. You're cutting out.
Well, that figures. This cave had really good connection for a while, but stay tuned for next season on Podcast Emperors, where we tell you how to make a new world. Any last words, Will? God King?
Apparently one of the kids severed the internet connection with a piñata stick. I'm sorry, it's lagging horribly.
Well, all right, we'll end there.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.